The Roosevelt Hotel had a way of changing after midnight. In the daytime, it stood proud and elegant. Velvet curtains, glowing chandeliers, and the echo of footsteps from tourists trying to capture its Hollywood history. But once the clock passed 12 a.m., the hotel transformed. The hallways felt too quiet, the air too still, and the building itself seemed to breathe in long, heavy sighs. Maria sat alone at the night desk, where the room service board glowed faintly in the darkness. It was her fourth week working nights, and she still couldn't get used to the eerie silence. The hotel wasn't full that night, but every so often she heard strange sounds through the vents, a distant thump, a soft dragging sound, or footsteps that never matched the number of guests currently checked in. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the internal phone line flickered on. Caller, room 928, room service request. Maria blinked. 928 was on the high floors, usually quiet, rarely booked. She adjusted her headset and answered with a calm voice. Good evening, this is room service. How may I help you? No reply, just a deep, steady breathing. Not fast, not panicked, controlled, almost as if the caller was listening to her instead of speaking. She repeated her greeting, louder this time. The breathing stopped suddenly. For a few seconds, the line was silent. Then a whisper slid into her ear. Can you come up? The voice was thin, dry, and distant, like someone speaking from the back of a long, empty hallway. Maria's heart jumped. She asked politely what the caller needed delivered, but instead of an answer, she heard a strange scraping sound, like metal dragging across wood, followed by a faint tapping, slow and deliberate. Then the call disconnected. Maria's fingers hovered over the keyboard. She checked the system twice. No glitch. No misdial. The signal had truly come from room 928. She called her supervisor, who walked over with a confused expression. That can't be, he muttered. 928 has been sealed for years. No one should be in there. Maria's stomach tightened. She pressed him for details, but before he could explain, the phone rang again. 2:16 a.m., room 928, room service. This time Maria hesitated before answering. She lifted the headset slowly. The moment she connected the call, the breathing returned, louder, closer, like the caller was standing right beside the phone. Then the voice whispered, slower than before, "Don't make me wait." Her supervisor snatched the receiver, but by then the line was dead. He checked the system, his face turning pale. "It's impossible," he said. "That room has no power. No phone. The door is sealed." Maria's chest tightened. She remembered the stories she heard during training about the man found dead in room 928 back in 2016. They said he was discovered sitting upright in a chair near the window, eyes wide open, a full room service tray on the table untouched. Cause of death unknown. The room was locked permanently after that. Security was sent upstairs. Maria and her supervisor watched the footage from the hallway cameras. As the guards walked down the 9th floor corridor, the lights flickered, once, twice, then held steady. Then something unusual caught their attention. At the far end of the hallway, right outside room 928, sat an old, dusty room service tray, covered in silverware the hotel no longer used. It looked exactly like the tray found beside the dead man years earlier. The guards approached it cautiously. The hallway air was unusually cold, and one of them reported hearing a faint humming sound, a slow, rhythmic vibration, like someone singing under their breath. Just as they got close to the tray, a soft knocking sound came from room 928. 3 slow taps, then silence. One of the guards, Tom, stepped closer and placed his ear against the door. The door was ice cold, as if the room had been abandoned in winter. Suddenly, and without warning, something thumped from inside the room, hard enough to make the door shift slightly in its frame. Tom stepped back, startled. "There's someone inside," he whispered. But the hotel records showed no one checked in, no keys issued, no maintenance scheduled, and according to the last update, the room's electronic lock was disabled. Maria watched through the camera feed as the guards stood motionless, unsure whether to open the door or run. The hotel around them felt strangely silent, as if every hallway and every empty room was waiting. Then the lights flickered again, and the camera feed briefly went black. When it came back on, the tray outside room 928 had moved, shifted several inches closer to the door, as if someone had nudged it from the inside. The Roosevelt Hotel had awakened.
The elevator doors opened with a slow, tired sigh, as if the building itself hated being disturbed at that hour. Matthew stepped out onto the 10th floor, the same floor where everything had started. His nerves stretched so tight his hands trembled. He knew what he came for. He needed to understand what happened in room 1007, and why the call came from a room that shouldn't have been able to call anyone at all. The hallway felt colder than before. That same heavy silence hugged the walls. The same soft hum of the old air vents. But something had changed. The air felt charged, dense, as if someone or something was aware of him and watching him walk. When he reached the door of room 1007, he didn't touch it immediately. He just stood there, staring at the tarnished numbers and the worn wooden surface. The door looked old, but not damaged, not scratched, not broken. Almost like nothing unusual ever happened here. But he knew better now. He slowly raised his keycard, inserted it into the lock, and pulled the handle. The door creaked open with a low groan. The room was dark, but not empty. The first thing he noticed was the cold. Not normal air conditioning cold. This cold felt deep, like it seeped beneath the skin and settled into bone. He took a step inside, leaving the hallway light behind him. He clicked the switch. Nothing happened. The room stayed dark. He pulled out his phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing everything exactly as he left it earlier that day. The neatly made bed, the untouched desk, the small table by the window. And then he saw it. The tray. The same room service tray he had brought earlier, lying on the floor beside the closet door. Just like it had been that night, before everything started happening. But this time something was different. The closet door was slightly open. Just an inch. But enough. He swallowed hard. He approached it slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. His light shook as he lifted it toward the gap. "Hello." His voice came out weak, almost cracking. The closet door didn't move. But something inside did. A faint shuffle. Then a slow, dragging sound, like fabric sliding across wood. Matthew took a step back immediately, his breath catching in his throat. He felt the urge to run. But something in him, curiosity or fear, kept him rooted in place. He reached out and pulled the closet door open. The light hit empty darkness. Nothing inside. Just an old suitcase, the hotel robe, and a pair of slippers. But then, bang! The bathroom door slammed shut behind him. He spun around, panic exploding through him. He wasn't alone. He knew it. He felt it. He pointed his phone light toward the bathroom. The door was closed, the handle slightly rattling like something inside was touching it, or pushing it gently. "Hello? Who's in there?" No response. He took a hesitant step forward. Then another. He reached for the handle, but before he touched it, RRRNGGG. The room telephone rang. He froze. The same phone. The same sound. The same timing. As if something was repeating the events on purpose. He turned slowly and stared at the phone on the desk, glowing red in the dark. His chest tightened. His ears rang. His heart pounded so loud he could feel it in his throat. Still shaking, he walked toward the phone. The ringing didn't stop. Not until he picked it up. Hello. Static. Then a whisper. Barely audible. Barely human. "Do you see us now?" Matthew felt the blood drain from his face. Who is this? What do you want? But the whisper didn't answer. Instead, the phone clicked, and the bathroom door swung open by itself. The light inside flickered violently, shadows dancing across the walls, shadows that didn't match anything in the bathroom. Shadows of people. 3 people. Standing. Watching. Still. Matthew stumbled back, dropping his phone. The flashlight hit the floor and spun, its beam sliding across the room, and then catching something near the window. A figure. standing in the corner, facing the wall, completely still. Matthew's breath seized in his lungs. Please, no. The figure turned its head, slowly, impossibly slow, revealing a pale face with hollow, darkened eyes. Eyes that stared through him, not at him. Then it whispered, "You answered our call." Matthew bolted for the door, adrenaline overriding everything. He yanked it open and sprinted into the hallway without looking back. He didn't stop running until he reached the elevators, slamming the button repeatedly. When the doors finally opened, he jumped inside, stabbing the lobby button. The elevator doors closed inch by agonizing inch. As they slid shut, he saw something at the end of the hallway. A shadow, long, tall, standing just outside room 1007, watching him leave. The elevator dropped, shaking slightly. Matthew held the rail, breathing hard, trying to process what he had just seen. But when the elevator reached the lobby and the doors opened, the receptionist and security guards were already waiting. "Sir," the guard said, calm but firm, "we need to ask you something." Matthew shook from fear. "I saw something upstairs. I don't know what. There was someone in my room. Something happened." "That's why we're here," the guard interrupted. "That room, room 1007. He hesitated. Has no active phone line. It's been disconnected since 2012. Matthew stared at him. It didn't make sense. He heard the calls. He answered them. He heard the voices. How is that possible?" he whispered. The receptionist exchanged a glance with the guard before speaking in a lower voice. "Because the last guests who stayed in that room, the family of 3 who died," she said softly, "they used that phone to call for room service. Over and over again." Matthew's chest tightened. What did they say in those calls? The receptionist swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. They kept saying someone was inside the room with them, someone who wouldn't let them leave. Matthew's legs felt weak. "What happened to them?" he asked. The guard replied, voice steady, "No one knows. The room was found locked from the inside. The family was gone. Missing. Never found." Matthew stared in shock. The guard continued, "Ever since then, that room's phone rings sometimes. But not from this building. The calls aren't registered." The receptionist whispered, "It's like the call comes from nowhere." Matthew looked toward the elevators, his heartbeat out of control. He understood now. The family didn't disappear. They were still there, and they were the ones who called him.